All right, well, welcome back again. Now you all understand why we have the PayPal account for donations for better equipment. It seems every week something goes wrong. So, to get back to where we started when we were doing a version of the Chipmunks, we have the lovely Cherry Whitiker with us tonight, and we're going to be talking about Therapeutic Touch. But before that, we have a couple announcements to make. So, Stewart, we're going to let you do it again.
Okay. Our first announcement is that we finally have a permanent home for our community nights. The community nights are now going to be held at the community center in Allen Park. Our first one is going to be on December 1st. It's going to be about angel cards. It'll be from 7 p.m. until 8:30, but we have the hall booked until 9 in case people want to stay after to wind down and chat.
And let's tell the second one.
Which
Christmas party. Well, Yule party, sorry.
We're also going to be having a small little Christmas/Yule party on the 15th. There's going to be potluck. You don't need to bring anything in order to join in, but you're more than welcome to come.
All right, sorry, I don't know.
It sounds like fun. It really does.
It does.
Now, I must say that even though we may not be live right now, that
we're live. It's just we're having
very
trouble with the
excited.
comments.
I am very excited that this lady and this gentleman are doing such a wonderful job of getting the community involved with everything that's going on in our county. There's loads going on here, and Carrie has, from her store, begun to do community nights that Stewart was talking about to educate the public, but also the podcast. So I think kudos need to go to Carrie and Stewart here at the Art of Divination in Stellarton.
Thank you very much.
Just got a comment. Angel Twist, hey, you're back.
All right.
There's a couple. Mom commented, "Hey, Mom, need a Jackie." And Edna commented, but we're not seeing. We're back to the comments not being visible. Story.
So I think that since they're live, while they do their problem solving, I think I'm going to start, and then they can work around it if everybody's okay with that.
That sounds like an excellent idea.
Okay.
If that's what we're going to do, I'm going to leave Carrie with Sherry while I go fix our technical issues.
All right, thanks, Stewart. Okay.
So yeah, Therapeutic Touch. Most of the people who come to the store and have been on the Facebook page before, they know that a great big bunch of us stormed just one night. We kind of overwhelmed you, and I know everybody from the store really, really loved the Therapeutic Touch. I heard about it for months afterwards. So for the people who haven't, maybe you can give a little bit of a description, overview.
Okay. First of all, Therapeutic Touch is an ancient energy healing that's done in every culture around the world, or variations, from shamanic to Arabic to Chinese to African. And we really had lost that in our culture. But bless Dolores Krieger and Dora Coons, who are the two ladies that decided that they really wanted to bring this kind of healing into the nursing realm, so that nurses could do therapeutic touch in the hospital. So Dora Coons was a mystic, and she could see the energies and had been involved with them for a lot of years. Dolores was the nurse teacher, the emeritus, and she was in the New York hospital doing therapeutic touch with the nurses and teaching. So they worked together to work out this simple, very straightforward, easy system that could be learned by nurses. And then they began to teach it to fathers or fathers-to-be to use it on their pregnant wives. So for many years now, Therapeutic has been involved with in a lot of hospitals and spread through the hospitals in the United States and across the world. So Therapeutic Touch is an energy healing system. The ancients, the mystics, knew for thousands of years that we're made of nothing but energy. Einstein was the first physicist to suggest that the whole world is made of nothing but energy, and matter is just condensed energy. And from there, what we've done is worked into the knowledge of some of the ancients and learn that by manipulating the energy that's around us and through us, we can create much better health.
I actually want to jump in on that. One of the things I use, well, not use, but talk about a lot, is how we are energy. Our hearts can be started and stopped by an electrical impulse, and in the wintertime, static electricity. There's so many ways every day that you can see how we are energy. And another thing I like to point out is energy never disappears, it just changes.
That's right, changes form. And our medical system actually does energetic measurements, and the most gross of them are measuring brain waves and heart waves, so your heart. So they do analysis of energy within our hospital system and have been for many years.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Like when you're on a heart monitor, even your pulse is measured, and that's energy. It's the movement of your heart.
And yeah. So what we have here is a system that is built that is very, very simple. Carrie brought to our practice group. We have a practice group here in New Glasgow, and there are a practice group, I think there are, 18 of them in PEI and Nova Scotia combined. So if you want to find about Therapeutic Touch, I want to get this in right away. I would like you to go to the website atlanticttn.com for the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network. And I will try to provide a link after the show for it. There's all kinds of information on that page about Therapeutic Touch, as well as who the teachers are, where they can learn it, and where they can practice it.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a question about that. Adele, you are a practitioner of Healing Touch. What would your
Therapeutic Touch.
Sorry, what did I say?
Healing. That's Therapeutic Touch.
What would your title be like? Are you a practitioner? Are you
registered practitioner?
A registered practitioner. Okay.
So when you learn Therapeutic Touch is highly regulated. I work in the hospital, in our local hospital in the palliative care system unit. And in order to do that, I can't just walk off the street. I have to have a certain evaluated standard that's given by the network. So when you learn Therapeutic Touch, you have to take the prescribed courses, 3 levels, and then you have to do case studies, some of which are supervised.
Kind of like becoming a nurse.
It is.
You have to meet certain qualifications, and then you have to have a certain amount of experience, like in-home experience, nursing, like in-hospital experience.
You have to be able to do Therapeutic Touch on babies, on the elderly, for injuries, for cancer, for skin conditions, for heart conditions. It really helps because it works on the energy field, and the energy in here is dense. It's slow moving and dense, and as you move out in the body, it gets finer out from the body. But this energy here is connected to, and it reflects what's in here. So if I work in here, it affects the energy here. If I work out here, it affects the state of the body.
I have another question. You're going to get tons of those. Is your Therapeutic Touch, is it similar to Reiki or EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique?
Reiki uses a similar energy. I mean, we're all energy, right? So it's working on the energy. EFT is working on the energy too, or meridian tapping, and it's working on the energy by understanding that there's circuits in the body. So here, the Therapeutic Touch, we do hands-on or hands-off, but mostly hands-on, especially in the hospital system. And in New York, the doctors actually thought it was a miracle when it was first introduced into the hospital in the early 70s. They could do operations on the intestines, but getting the intestines mobile again was very difficult. They couldn't do that because the anesthetics stopped the mobility. So the patients would die because they couldn't get the motility of the intestines going. So what happened was Therapeutic Touch, by simply running your hand over the intestines in the direction in which they move, all of a sudden everything would begin to move. The whole digestive system would be working really well. And the doctors went, wow.
And that's what they like, those thumb sounds.
Right. And so it was really that began, from my understanding, the acceptance in the New York hospital of Therapeutic Touch.
They saw the results.
There. They saw the results.
I'm going to pause us for a second. Have we any comments?
No.
So, is anybody having trouble connecting with the show again? I just want to make sure this is really wonderful information that we're putting out there, and I just want to make sure nobody's having any more problems with the problems we've already had this evening. So, Ashley, is anybody, if you could just message the Facebook page, somebody to let us know if you're there.
I'd never shared your post.
Yeah.
That's all I got so far on notifications.
The live video, the video's frozen again, like the picture, but on the Facebook page it's working, so
Lovely.
I think it's working.
Carrie, could you pass me my coffee?
Okay. So Therapeutic Touch can be learned by anyone and done by anyone. My little granddaughter, who I think was less than a year old, and I've done Therapeutic Touch on her from the day she was born. Anytime she hurt herself or she had toothache or runny nose, anything. And she burned her arm really badly. It was scalded, the whole thing. And so we did loads of Therapeutic Touch. The doctor the next day thought that she would need skin grafts. And every day did Therapeutic Touches. We changed the bandages, and every day she watched me, and she'd watch my hands, and then she'd smile at me. And one night, in the middle of the night, her mom and dad could hear, and then it would stop, and then they heard it again a while later, and then it stopped. So they finally went in to check on her, and what they saw was her Band-Aid, the little elastic on her pajamas had gotten underneath the Band-Aid, and it was abrading her burn. And she was going, oh, oh, oh. And she was doing Therapeutic Touch by working in the energy field. And then it would stop hurting and she'd go to sleep. And then after a bit, she'd be awake again. So once they changed her and she was okay after that. But here's a little tiny child who's had Therapeutic Touch, knows what it feels like, and able to do it without any verbal teaching. Now, she doesn't know how to do the complete system, of course, but she knew how to do enough to heal her own arm. That's how natural Therapeutic Touch is. The use of human energy to heal is really natural.
We got a comment from Stephanie Atwood, and I just thought Cherry would like to hear this. She said she received Therapeutic Touch and it was amazing.
Oh, cool. What's so neat is Therapeutic Touch can be learned in the first level 1. It's a basic course. There's so much more to learn. But once you've begun that level 1 and completed it, as long as you practice, you can do amazing treatments for others. It simply is like learning how to dribble a ball, learning how to crochet or knit. It takes practice to do it well, but anybody and everybody can really learn to do this as long as they're interested and care about it. And you can have profound results. One of the neatest things that I like to say to people is that Therapeutic Touch changes your whole perception of the world, and it changes your life. Carrie, may I talk about you?
Sure.
All right. Carrie came, she talked about the night she came to our practice group, and she was really red in the face and uncomfortable because she had a hard time with all the energy around, with all those people.
That was very overwhelming.
And I was really concerned about her. And so we took her outside and put her underneath a tree and taught her how to use the tree to center herself and ground herself so that the energy wasn't sticking in her body, it was flowing through.
And can I jump in on that? Since you showed me that wonderful life-saving skill, because that's what it is, it actually helps me deal with crowds better. And I have been sharing the knowledge with many, many other people, right, Jim?
Yes, you certainly do.
There are a lot of people benefiting from what you shared with me. It's a good thing to know.
Well, I'm really pleased you're sharing because it's a very basic skill.
Oh, it is.
You asked another question. You said, is a life skill. And it really is.
Oh, it is.
It's a life skill. You asked the difference between therapeutic touch and Reiki. Reiki is, when I learned it, now I know there are more than one system, is hand positions that are placed on the body. Right? When I learned Reiki, they didn't teach us to ground the person to create the flow through the body before. Now it may have changed, so I really don't know now what to teach, but when I learned it, and when I learned therapeutic touch, they taught us the centering and the basic skill of grounding, and then to do that with others. And that skill helped me the same way it helped Carrie. It helped me to feel more calm and walk through life in a calmer, easier manner.
I feel so strongly about the grounding. I can actually deal with crowds. Now, everybody who knows me well knows I have a real trouble with overwhelming energy, right? And I can actually go to Walmart on a Saturday now, which is amazing. I'm not brave enough to try on Christmas time, but I can go on a Saturday and survive it and, not get overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And I believe so much in the grounding, and I think so many of us have lost connection with ourselves, and we're getting overwhelmed in day-to-day life by everything. One of our shows, one of our podcasts is going to be about grounding and shielding.
Sounds lovely. It's really important. The centering helps you, as well as the grounding, to keep the energy flow going strongly through. So the shielding comes into place with the centering and the grounding. Really lovely. Yeah, it's cool.
We just want to share that knowledge, because I know there's a lot of people like that just get overwhelmed by so much energy. And so many of us, we live in the negativity of it. We can't see anything else but it.
And we can't feel differently about it, right?
And it just kind of develops a great big hopelessness.
So this gives you something very simple to do, that is very simple to learn. And again, what it needs is practice. Right? So Reiki, and I use it all the time in conjunction with therapeutic touch. There are times when the hands on the body and left are really, really important. But may I use your arm, Stewart?
Yep.
But basically, one of the things that therapeutic touch does is works above. And it just simply works on the energy field that is around the body. So you can sense, you learn in therapeutic touch to sense how that energy feels and how everybody's energy feels different. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So this is a very simple demonstration of waving your hands around somebody.
But it's effective. I know people can't realize the effectiveness of it by watching it on the podcast. But if you go to one of the nights, every second Tuesday in the Glasgow Fire Hall, you won't believe. You can feel the energy there. Like, it's palpable. I can't even say it right now. And it's really, really warm. Energy's super hot. But you can just feel it working in the room, and it's pretty amazing.
It is neat. It really is.
One question that I have is, if I was someone who was interested in learning how to do therapeutic touch, would the resources in order to find out where to go and who to contact, would that be on the website?
That's on the Atlantic Therapeutic Touch website. We also have a Facebook page.
Okay.
On the Facebook page, you'll find some pictures. I'm not really good at taking pictures and getting them to our Facebook master, so really I need to improve. But he lists our classes, and there's a whole range of them, so you can get basic level 1, 2, and 3 classes, where you learn to do therapeutic touch treatments, and you learn increasingly difficult skills with each level. And then there are also other days that are called practice days, where you spend the day learning about a specific concept. So one of the things that Dolores and Dora talked about a lot was being conscious while you do this. That you're always conscious of the energy and how it's flowing, where it's not flowing, where it might be stuck or weak or jangled in the body, in the field. So the consciousness helps you figure out how you're going to deal with the energy when it's in different states, and help to smooth it and soothe it and work it into a coherent, cohesive field that flows lovely, in a lovely, balanced, ordered way. So it's not hard to learn. It sounds hard, but it really isn't hard to learn. But the results are profound. They're profound.
Okay. Another question is that you mentioned that it comes in level 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go into some of the specifics of what's the difference between the different levels?
In level 1, you learn the basic treatment.
Okay.
So it's really important to get the basics down, and that's practice. We spend, out of the 12 or 13 hours that I teach a level 1 in, you do a lot of practice, because you learn to sense the energy, you learn how to move the energy, you learn about grounding, about centering. So you learn how to do a complete basic treatment. In level 2, you learn to hone your intention, because what you meet in the field can be dealt with a little more efficiently through the use of color or sound or envisioning light or images. So you learn how to use those in response to somebody's field, right? And so in level 3, we're also looking at doing distance healing from here to wherever in the rest of the world you want to send healing, you can send it. And also working in the fields that are further out from the body, right? So it's a really difficult thing, because each field is connected, is interconnected, and each field is affected by the other field, so it's complex.
Kind of like a spider's web.
It is. It truly is. But spider's web, where everything is moving all the time, moving in and moving out. So in order to do a treatment and to take and make sure everything's balanced and flowing in an even pattern, one needs to be able to work carefully within the system, very carefully and very gently.
Could you cause harm?
You know what? I have never heard of a case of harm, ever. If you do the protocol from A to B to C to D, exactly as laid out, it has never caused any harm. And it will cause occasionally a tiny bit of pain. So we'll pretend that Carrie has, or if I don't do it well, and I watch Carrie and her face gets red and red and red and she's all agitated, I have allowed her, because I haven't done the protocol well, to overload, right? Or occasionally, let's say something's going on in her wrist. If I'm gently working in her wrist, and it does not want, the energy does not want to easily release into a flow, she could momentarily have a little jerk of pain while that releases. But there's no harm that comes with it. Okay. That's one of the joys I love about Therapeutic Touch. Follow the rules, follow what they set up, and nothing bad will happen.
It just seems with almost other health things like meds, there's side effects, operations, there's risk. It's kind of nice to know that there's something that's completely safe.
Do you know what the side effects of Therapeutic Touch are?
Falling asleep.
Pretty much.
The relaxation response within 2 minutes of most everybody. It makes the oxygen levels in your blood rise. And oxygen is awesome because it feeds your cells, it does things like kills bacteria in the bloodstream. So it increases the oxygen supply. It normalizes your blood pressure. So if your blood pressure is high, it brings it down. If your blood pressure is low, it raises it up to normal.
There you go, Dad. My dad, he normally has low blood pressure, right? Mm-hmm. And he had a heart attack quite a few years ago. It was a bad one. It was a really bad heart attack. He ended up being the only man admitted in the hospital to have salt included in his diet in the cardiac unit. They took away the salt. That's what they do, right? When you have a heart attack, they take away the salt. Doctor, his blood pressure kept bottoming out. too low, and the nurses had to keep running back in because his blood pressure was getting too low. Doctor looked at him and said, give him salt. We need to keep his pressure up. So he's the only person I know on the cardiac diet by the doctor who's prescribed salt.
Well, I bet you therapeutic touch would help too.
Yeah, I think so, but you know, salt's more available, and he really likes his salt.
Very available.
Can you do therapeutic touch on yourself?
Absolutely. You can do therapeutic touch on yourself. That's the very first treatment we give in our level 1 class, is learning how to give it to ourselves. So lots of times at night, if I am not easy to go to sleep, and then my head is going, I get into a treatment, I treat myself, and I give other people treatments too. So you can give it to yourself. It's, you know, at a distance. So I'm giving people 100 miles or 200 miles away.
Right, I'm going to take it off topic for a second. For all of you that are watching, could someone please comment to let me know that everything is working properly? So we'll just wait for somebody to comment to us, and we'll go back to our conversation.
Okay.
Another question. You were saying about different physical ailments like the burns and stuff like that there, that it actually helped. What about somebody with a mental problem or an Alzheimer's patient?
Who told us?
It is both.
Thank you, Steph.
It's beneficial in both cases. What happens with some kinds of mental illness, especially if people are manic, in a manic phase, they don't want to be relaxed and brought down. And so it's it takes time to make sure that when you do it with those people, when they're manic, small doses for short times until they're used to it. And so it can be done, and it is done. There are slightly different techniques involved. So if you have a head injury versus a mental illness, there are different things that are used. So concussion, it works really well in concussion. I'm the concussion queen. Right? And so, bless the therapeutic touch. It helped me heal in ways that are really quite outstanding. It can help, what you said mental illness, what was the other?
Alzheimer's?
Oh yes, it's done in Alzheimer's wards.
Okay.
So, the difficulty is that if you were a stranger going in to do therapeutic touch, for a lot of people with Alzheimer's, you really need to them to know you, so they're not agitated. They need to feel safe. And so you have them with a caretaker who is getting a therapeutic touch treatment to begin with, and then they get the benefits of the treatment while their caregiver is given one. It's short. And as they get used to it, it becomes an easier thing to give them treatments as well.
See how that would be beneficial. Most people know that my background is in healthcare, and I worked at Valley View, and we had, night times were the worst. And there were some people, they would just get lost so completely, they would become aggressive, violent, and we always ended up having to medicate them.
So when you do therapeutic touch under circumstances like that, the patients actually sleep better. It really helps sleep. There are lots of records in hospitals from reduced use of medications for patients on therapeutic touch.
I'm just thinking of the nights when they get so worked up, I don't even know how to describe it. It can last for days, just till they run down.
So if you can get to them to center yourself and ground yourself, and then do that for them. I was working with a whole group of mentally challenged adults, and one of them was quite aggressive, and she started to work herself up. And so I just went over to her. I'd been in the facility for a couple of days by then, and I just went over to her and I said, "How are you doing there?" And she was like, and I just started grounding her and doing therapeutic touch in her eyesight so she knew what. And within about 2 minutes, she calmed down. She came out of her distressed, and she was verbally nonverbal. She yelled really well, but you couldn't understand her. And she went on with her day. And the staff were astonished with how easy it happened.
Really pleased.
That's,
Really
that's
pleased,
wonderful.
If I had learned that years ago, I'd still be married.
Jim's in trouble later. So, the group, when we first found out about it and we let everybody know, there's 3 people from that group that we brought with us that have got their certification level 1.
They've got their level 1.
That's
right.
fantastic.
No, it is wonderful. And on top of it, returning people know, from your initial group, and but there are now more people doing Therapeutic Touch. For some reason for different reasons, we've had a couple of our regulars not be able to attend. And these people have come in. In our practice group, we do treatments in pairs. So we put experienced people with less experienced people, and everybody gets a double whammy, 2-on-1.
Oh, wonderful.
And that way, the less experienced people are supported, and everything gets treated the way it needs to be. If somebody doesn't have enough experience at the very beginning, within 2 evenings, they're right on with working in pairs. So it really helps the clients.
Wonderful.
And we have lots of people that come off the street looking for treatment.
So, do you mind, Adele, if I drag you back into the conversation?
No,
for a minute?
no.
How long have you been working with Therapeutic Touch? Cherry's like the expert on it, so I
She's
want
a teacher.
I want someone else's perspective so we can let everybody know. Like, how long have you been involved with
Since
it?
2000.
And can I ask what level you are?
Am I wrong? Cherry shaking
You're
her head.
wrong. My goodness, she's been doing it longer than I have. She learned it before I did.
Really? Then how come you're the teacher?
I don't want to be a teacher.
Yeah.
You know the statement, those who can do, those who can't teach. Well, I know that I can, but I also know that most of my students have much better abilities than I do.
I have to disagree with that. I don't know about everybody else's abilities because no one could near me that night. But that day you come in here when I had that horrible, horrible muscle spasm, I thought I was dying. I was convinced I was having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe, nothing. It was, the muscle spasm was all on my back, around my lungs, and we actually ended up getting our paramedic friend to come over and see if I needed to go to the hospital because I was convinced I was having a heart attack. But anyways, the upshot is he actually let me go to work. He said it's muscle spasm and walking would probably be good for me. So I was dying while I was here. And then walked Cherry that day. Completely out of the blue. I had no idea she was coming out. It was her first time in the store and she saved me. The pain was gone. Like, after she did her energy work, the pain was gone. It was amazing.
And I was afraid to work on Carrie because she had told me that she'd been grounding and was really good. But I did the treatment all from the feet, knees down from the feet. I didn't even go near her back because I was afraid that she was going to overload. And she didn't overload. She took the treatment beautifully.
I could breathe. I couldn't take a deep breath. The muscle spasm was that bad. And I don't like to take pills.
Yeah.
Last person in the world, I have to be nearly dead before I'll take pills or an antibiotic, and then it's like 50-50 if I'll finish it or not. I hate taking pills. And I could not draw a deep breath all day long. It was all shallow breathing. So I was like, just trying to get enough air in. And while she walked, I was like, oh, did I psychically call you?
But I knew she was in pain because she was moving in very strange, stiff ways, very slowly. So I'm really pleased I came just because it was a way to ease her that day.
Me too. You were the best person I saw that day.
And Edna Lyon said, just like you saved me one day, smiley face.
Oh, I love
there
you.
you go. So how much time do we have left?
It's 7:42.
Okay, great.
So, do we have any comments or questions from the viewers for Cherry? You know, you can always chip on there and ask your questions. That's what we love about the show. So we'll just wait a minute and see if anybody has any questions. Yes, Ashley.
Possibly sending me information to maybe start certification for it, maybe?
Ooh, we'll have a healer in our
I
family.
think that'd be really cool.
I'd love to do that, hon. And so what I would like you to do is to go into the AtlanticTTN.com, and you will see there listed classes, or in the Therapeutic Touch, Atlantic Therapeutic Touch Network.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. Cherry, you know, we can advertise this for you on the store page too. We'd be more than happy to do that. Anything you want to send us to advertise, we'd be more than happy.
That would be awesome.
It's a
I would do
practice
that.
I believe in so completely. You've
Thank
saved
you.
my back that day. I could breathe deeply. It was wonderful. And also with the grounding. So I support your Therapeutic Touch 120%.
And I appreciate that, I really do. I want to say, though, that Therapeutic Touch is grounded in a lot of research. It's the most researched energy healing modality overall. And so research was begun by Dora and Dolores very first, when they went into the hospital. They began to research this before they taught the nurses. So it's being highly researched. One of the latest pieces, doctors will say, oh, well, it's all placebo, right? It's all in their heads. They get extra attention for patients, so of course they do better.
We got another comment. Stephanie asked if you can use Therapeutic Touch on animals.
Absolutely.
What a great question, Stephanie.
Yeah, they really love. Animals prefer, some of them, to have it done on the body, so your hand is moving on the body, and some animals love it on the off. I want to finish this one piece. People say that because there's extra attention to the individual, that's why they get better. Doctors were saying that. But there's a researcher whose specialty was bone cell research, and she was researching cancer in bone cells and all kinds of things. So she had isolated human bone cells in petri dishes in a lab. So these were highly controlled experiments. The Therapeutic Touch done on these bone cells, they actually proliferated, they grew, and they grew into healthier and healthier cells. The ones that were left without the Therapeutic Touch didn't. And so what you have here is Therapeutic Touch done on individual cells, a group of them, and they showed incredible benefits from it. So it's not just the person or the people the benefit, it's at a cellular level.
I've got proof for you right here. I'm turning red again, aren't I?
You are.
It's just because you're wide open and I am so sensitive, and I have been grinding. Don't worry, it's not a bad thing. But there's your proof, people, that about the energy work, because I
Her hands are going like this.
I know, and I'm
and she's
sorry.
waving that energy around like it's a magic youth potion, and I'm turning red. And this is what happened the other night.
It was, but there were about 30 people
Too
in
much.
the room doing
Too
it.
much.
Okay, yeah. So animals,
Can we
yes.
use it on Jen
Plants?
when I ask him what's up and he's like, my blood pressure?
You can use it on plants, Cherry.
You can use it on plants. You can use it on your house
Plants
plants.
in my
They
house.
thrive.
I was the
Or
only
you
one
can
that's
use
able
it
to
in
do it.
the
Oh, mine, I
plants
have
in your
no
garden.
idea.
And trees are lovely. Trees are amazing. The energy off of trees is astonishing. It's healing. But trees love to receive it back. So Therapeutic Touch is
Yeah, Carrie's going to go home and dump some on her tree later.
good idea.
I'm not being rude,
No,
but I
I know
am going to
you're
go
not.
over there just to
You
put a
do
little bit
that,
of distance
sweetie.
between us. Sorry, I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
trying to hurt your feelings.
You're
Don't
not.
apologize.
No, I
But there's
apologize.
everybody's proof about the energy.
Yeah.
And I do apologize because I know I talked with
Don't.
my hands. So
No, that's all right.
So is Mom.
I don't think I'm ever going to be any different.
well, you will, and you are.
I think I'll still get a physical response.
You were
though.
able to sit beside her tonight?
Yeah, how long did I get? Close to 40 minutes sitting beside you?
That's true. So with the last end of it, if there's one other comment, I want to say that there's a practice group in Pictou County, in New Glasgow, on Tuesday nights, every other Tuesday, but there's also one on the opposite Wednesdays. So there's a practice group in Therapeutic Touch every week that you can go to in our area. Now we charge $4 per person per night, but that helps to defray costs for the rent and a few other things. But it's really a very inexpensive and wonderful treatment.
It is worth every penny. I think you should charge so much more, but it is worth every penny. But we actually have a comment. Annette Hill says, I may have missed it earlier, but I'm wondering what your credentials are and where did you complete your training? Just a little bit of a recap because of the problems we had earlier.
So first of all, I have been doing karate for many, many years. And that's an energy based skill as well. And I started karate in 88.
I remember I took my
87.
kids to you.
That's
Karate.
right.
Again, do you think you could open that door a
Yeah.
little bit for me, please?
And then in 1997, on January 28th, I took my first course. And I remember it so clearly because, as I said, it changed my whole life. It changed how I feel about myself. It changed how I interact in the world. And is being probably one of the most important life skills I've ever learned. After that, I took level 2 and level 3 within the time frames because I was so intrigued by this. And I did hundreds of treatments in the school, high school that I was working in. If a kid was walking down the hall limping, he was hauled into my room and I gave him a treatment. And then I took my classes again and I started my workbook. So I recorded about 90 cases. And some of those were supervised, and then they're read. Those case studies are read and commented on, as well as you are watched, and people comment on you to make sure that your techniques are very good, and they're what they want in a therapeutic touch treatment, that they're safe for the client, the healing partner is what we call them now, and they fit the mold. They do not want anybody doing therapeutic touch in a public place that does not show the way that they have taught it so that it is not creating harm. After that, after I got my certification in probably about 2000, I immediately began to work on my teacher's certification because I can do therapeutic touch anywhere, at any time. And it's been the neatest thing to have. I watched a young man coming down a hill on his bicycle and he ran into a car. And it was so easy. There were people there already going, blah, 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 what do we do? There was one first aider and he and I knew each other. He said, and I went over and he said, yes, Cherry, do your stuff. So here's the first aider working on him and I'm working on him in the street. And it was a wonderful way just to ease that person through. And thank goodness he wasn't injured a lot. I've done it in karate tournaments where the person is yelling with this arm for their buddies, and on this arm they've had an injury, and I'm doing treatments on them. So you can do it anywhere, at any time. That's why I love it. So I thought if I can teach this to people, then more people can learn this, and we can begin to spread this around, because it's such a valuable treatment to be able to do for others.
And how long have you been on the board, ATTM board?
Oh, Adele. I have been on the board from about 2002 to 2006 or 7. Was off the board for a while, and then I've been on the board from 2010 to the present. And at this time, I'm the education chair. My education has included all the courses that have been taught within our network. But I've gone to Ontario, which is held the National Conference for Therapeutic Touch for many years. I think I've been to Toronto maybe 10 or 12 times out of that time. Where Therapeutic Touch was developed is in New York State. I have been there for 2 summers for the Advanced Invitational, and in recent years, and then I went to teach an introductory course with a doctor who teaches there. I also have been to the two of the international congresses, one in 2015 and one in 2017, and there will be one in 2020 in Toronto. So I've been to Seattle and to Chicago. And during those times in the Congress, I don't just do the courses that are offered in the Congress. I do the Teacher's Day courses too, so I can improve my teaching.
So this practice is accepted worldwide?
Oh, absolutely. There are a minimum of 80 countries. That was last count where it is taught. And at the last Congress, it was so heartwarming. There was a lady from Rwanda, and she had come and learned Therapeutic Touch, and she has taught well over 500 people in Rwanda. And it is one of the things that helps. There's so much AIDS in that country. And what the people who receive Therapeutic Touch end up having is many fewer symptoms. And what they're finding is that the most exciting piece is the children are not showing the same signs of the AIDS as soon. Because Therapeutic Touch bounces up your immune system and helps it keep going. All right. Is there anything that I need? Is there another comment there?
No, we're just having a bit of technical difficulties again. Sorry.
Do you think the energy that with my hands is creating the difficulty?
No. I do have a question. Can you use like crystals or like a selenite wand, Reiki, whatever it's called?
Reiki.
Like, is there props? Props is a bad word. I don't know. Tools. Tools.
The tools that you use are your own consciousness and how you perceive energy and how you then work with what you perceive. So your tools are right here. You carry your tools with you. People do. They do adjunctive therapies, so that I use Reiki sometimes by putting hands on body for permission with the Therapeutic Touch. I know reflexologists who use Therapeutic Touch while they're doing the reflexology treatment to amp up. Massage therapist is the same thing. If you know Therapeutic Touch, it is kind of like it's the gateway modality, like the great gateway drug. Once you learn Therapeutic Touch, you can actually use it with so much.
So your Therapeutic Touch, and I know it's wonderful. You know I'm a huge fan, but it's not in lieu of doctor's advice. It's working with your doctor's advice.
Well, I work within the palliative care department, right? So it was built by a nurse and a mystic in a hospital system. It was meant to be an integrated therapy where the two are working together. And nurses who have skills that learn Therapeutic Touch actually don't suffer the burnout because they learn to center and ground, and they have much better energy and calmness throughout their day. So it's one of those wonderful things that if you carry this as a nurse, it really assists your practice.
So it's a complementary.
Well,
to complement modern medicine.
It complements it, and what I'm hoping will happen is that it will become integrated. I mean, at the moment, you're right. Lots of places it is complementary, but there's also loads of places where it's integrated into the system.
And we all know, like anybody who has any background in medical, in my experiences in nursing homes and healthcare situations, I've seen the strangest things. There's this one experience. It was a lady of advanced years. This lady seemed more than a century, and she was very lonely. And this winter, it was building and building and building on her, and she almost willed herself to die. And then she got good news, and all of a sudden she sprung back up. We were convinced we were going to lose her. She was just shutting down day by day. And she got good news, and it brought her back up. So it's kind of, I'm trying to think how I want to express it.
Well, what you feel, your emotional system, affects what happens. It's a whole system that affects your whole being, and it's a whole area of science. In the area of science of epigenetics, they understand that your emotions will create certain genes to turn on or turn off. So if you are more calm and relaxed and easy, you're much less likely to have a heart attack. But if you are not, if you easily erupt and you're just angry, that anger changes how your genes express themselves. And so for her, that emotional surge of joy,
It changed her emotions.
but it changed her physical function.
It did, totally.
And so
I do.
in Therapeutic Touch, one of the things that we do learn is how to work within that emotional field to assist. So go ahead.
I do want to put a disclaimer, because we are live. Cherry is not recommending that you avoid your doctor and you don't listen to your doctor. Cherry is just putting out Therapeutic Touch as an alternative or a complementary or an integrated to help a complete whole circle of wellness.
That's right. Our medical system does things really, really well if you have a broken bone. If you have an emergency, heart attack, please go to your doctor as soon as you can do, right? So, but Therapeutic Touch added to that speeds recovery beautifully. Right? Jim?
Now, what about something like focus? Like a person wants to have better focus on their job or to improve something in their life.
Oh, it has taken me, I'm a pretty high energy person and lots of times quite scary. If I can ground and center myself, and one of the ways I do it is just finding my energy ball, then that helps me ground, center, focus, and attend for longer to whatever I need
So
to.
would the Therapeutic Touch comment doing the grounding and things like that?
Oh, I'll complement it well. In fact, it's one of the basic skills of Therapeutic Touch. It's a good question, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. How much time do we have left?
It's 7:59.
If you have more to say, you can say it. If you want to wrap it up, we can wrap it up.
Well, I was going to teach them how to do an energy ball, but we can do that at another time. It's up to you because that
No,
will take 15
I'm good with
minutes.
it. I think there's some people who want it here.
Okay. All right. So because we have nothing but energy, are made of nothing but energy, what I would like you to do is begin to take your hand. So relax your fingers, nicely relaxed and easy, and just begin to play with this, knowing that energy is coming out of your hands. And as you bring them in together, put your mind, your attention, your focus between your palms, and as you take them apart, begin to sense. Now you're slow. You want to move because it's movement that helps to create the sensation of the energy. And once you've got yourself into a place, Jim's found his. What does it feel like, Jim?
It's just like a tingling.
In your hands.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you got yours, Amber?
Ashley.
Ashley. I'm sorry.
So I kind of feel like I have a weird tingling in my fingertips.
Yeah,
It's-
like in your fingertips and then your palm.
yeah, it's like, and it's exactly like last time. Right in between my hands feels really cold.
Okay, cool.
Everyone
so both
else-
of you have found your ball.
Everyone else's was warm at the Therapeutic Touch
Touch,
last
touch.
time we went, but mine was the only one that was cold for some reason.
It doesn't matter how it feels. What matters is you recognize it and know that it will change as you change. If you come in contact with something that is really not good for your system, like a chemical, it will change the sense of your ball. Right? So now, I want you to begin to look at this ball and let's play with it. So as you bring your hands together and apart, and give yourself a word that describes your ball. So right here tonight, my ball is tingling, but it's moving in a clockwise fashion. So it's circling this way. It's neither warm nor cold. And if I take my hands apart, I feel like there's something between them trying to pull them together. And if I bring my hands back together, all of a sudden, it's like the density is there and it wants to stop. All right, Jim, have you got any feedback, anything else you'd like to add?
It's basically it's like a strong tingling, almost like electrical, in your hands.
Right.
Right, and you feel it right down the fingers, right through the whole palm.
Cool. Okay. And Ashley.
Mine kind of feels like a pulse, like almost like a heartbeat.
All right. So now you have described what it feels like. What I want you to do is listen to my instructions and do the same thing. As you breathe in, your lungs expand and your hands come out. So breathe in and then breathe out and bring them together as your lungs contract. Bring your hands together. Breathe in, expand your lungs, expand your hands, and then breathe out, bring them together. And one more time. As you breathe in, take your hands apart, breathing in, expanding, and then take your hands together. And how does your ball feel?
Spongy, kind of. That's the best way to describe it.
It's changed,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and mine is softer too, and not as active. It's got a slower, more gentle action. What about you, Ashley?
Mine's kind of like a more gentle, kind of mellow feeling to it.
Right. Okay, let's change our breathing and see how it changes the energy in our hands. This time, as we breathe out, we're going to take our hands out. And as we breathe in, we're going to bring our hands in. Breathe out and breathe in. Breathe out and breathe in. And one more time. I hope you're trying this at home. Breathe out and breathe in. And how does yours feel?
Not the same, really.
Oh, okay. So yours is the same from the breathing. All right?
I feel it's kind of different, but I don't really know how to really describe it.
It's really hard to describe energy
Because
because
it feels different. Like, I don't know, but just kind of different than the last time.
okay. So mine is larger, and it's not as active as the first time, but it also is a little spongy. But it's not spongy, right? Yeah. Okay. So doing the ball actually helps you to relax, helps you to focus, and helps you to center yourself. So it's a really nice trick to get yourself into a calm place and help yourself be in a better place altogether. Anyway, I thank you all. Is there anything else before we close?
I would like to say that we do have some of Cherry's calendar on the Facebook page because this is a wonderful practice and I'd love to see more and more people attend it and learn and become practitioners themselves. It is a fantastic thing that does complement traditional healing. And I just want to thank you for coming tonight. I'm so glad you were able to share this with us, and I'm so glad we discovered you in the first place. It was actually Mike Thompson who put me in touch with Cherry. And thank you, Mike, if you're watching. I love you for it.
And I love Mike too, because he is a wonderful Therapeutic Touch person. And when he wrote me just the other day, because he found another person he thought would benefit from Therapeutic Touch, he says, as you know, and I know, it increases all kinds of skills in life, and one of them is your ability to use your intuitive information, your intuitive receptors, right? And I'd like to thank you, Carrie. I don't know if the comment that I made the first time made sense. I'd like to thank you, Stewart. I think it's awesome that in this community you're bringing people in and talking to them, making sure everybody in the community is aware of what's happening. We've got some awesome people in this county doing wonderful things.
And awesome, I don't want to use the word options, but most of us don't. We have a want for more, right? But we just don't realize what's available. So that's one of the things we're trying to do at the store is facilitate. Hey, there's this, there's that. Like, look, there's so much around us that's unique and falls into what we are looking for, because I think society is looking for something so different. I think we're so lost as a whole.
Well, I won't comment on that because we will be here for a long time.
That's another show for another night then. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, not for me, for maybe somebody else.
But thank you for coming and sharing all this wonderful information with us. You know we love you.
Oh, One last thing, please, please, and I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I brought books by Dora and Dolores, and there's a lot of them, a lot of books. But I want to plug this book. And this book is by David McGinley. It's called Beyond Surviving, Cancer and Your Spiritual Journey. David McGinley is a chaplain in the QE2 system in Halifax, and he works mostly out of the oncology department. As you can see, it's well marked. And in his book, he uses therapeutic touch within that hospital system all the time as one of his base practices. And he has that's not the word, he's taken and written a whole chapter on therapeutic touch, which is very readable and very easy to understand. Chapter 12, he talks about our energetic anatomy. So that's by David McGinley, and it's a really good book, interesting to read and very uplifting.
Is he not a teacher for level 1?
You're right. Thank you, Adele. He's also a teacher for Therapeutic Touch level 1, and he promised me that he's going to get his level 2 this year while he's on sabbatical. I hope he does. It's really worth reading. Okay. And just a couple of the books here. This is about Dora Van Gulder Kuntz, who was the lady who was the mystic, and there's so much written about her and her incredible life as a mystic. She traveled worldwide at the invitation of some amazing people. They worked with, she and Dolores worked with some of the most famous physicists in the 70s. And one of Dolores' books, she writes like a nurse. And this one was written well before on auras, before they could actually take pictures of auras. And she wrote a book about the aura and its expression, and had artists. It took years to create this book because she was so demanding. Anyway,
Well,
all right.
you know, she wants to know her stuff. But we're going to give a shout out to Terry. Hey, Terry, why didn't you let us know you were watching, you sneaky devil? We would have said hello to you, but I'm so glad to see you. And Edna, it's so nice to see you, but you should have commented a bit more, naughty girl, and let us know you were there. And we're really glad you liked this. Cherry is a wonderful person, and as I said, she has practice nights every second Tuesday at the New Glasgow Fire Hall, starting at 7 p.m. It's a wonderful experience, even if you don't want a treatment, just to go and see what it's all about. It's a fantastic. My first night there, I stood outside the door all night long, but I still watched it.
And there was also the one on the Wednesday night in Pictou.
Sorry,
As Carrie said, the dates are on your webpage.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Stewart, you look like you want
I was just going to say that all of the dates for the next year are currently on our page.
Oh, perfect.
For the next
We've
one?
got you supplied for Pictou and New Glasgow.
Right.
So, thank you, Cherry, for
Thank you.
coming tonight and sharing again with us. I always love spending time with you, even if you make me warm.
You're hot stuff, Carrie.
Oh, I
You just
try.
made
Thank you, Stewart.
So,
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
we want to, next week, we are going to have the magnificent Stewart Hill talking. It's going to be his night, talking about rune stones, a little bit of history, and just all of his wonderful knowledge about that. And then the week after, we're hoping that we're going to have someone here to do a wonderful talk, an intro to astrology. Maybe we can get people charting their own horoscopes. So we're just going to wait to hear back on that. If not, we will certainly find something just as wonderful to talk about on the podcast. Now don't forget, the community nights have been moved to our permanent home the first and third Friday of every month. Is there anything else we're forgetting? Oh, our big surprise. Should we tell everybody now our big surprise for next week?
I think we should wait.
You think
Keep them
keep them in
waiting.
suspense?
I don't know the surprise.
No, you don't. It's a surprise. Nobody knows this except for me and Stewart and Kyle because he was here. So watch the Facebook page on Friday because we are going to announce then what your surprise is, and we hope it's something you're all really going to like. Don't forget to share these podcasts. We want everybody having the show available to them where they can learn all this fascinating stuff and just see what's alive in Pictou County. Jimmy, you gonna? Oh, you look like you were gonna say something.
Nope.
Comments from the peanut gallery. So I guess we're gonna sign off for tonight and say thank you everybody for watching. And please comment more. We love talking to you and we love interacting with you, even if it's just to say hello. And again, we're so sorry for our technical difficulties at the beginning. We will get it worked out. And when we do, it will be boring because there'll be no unexpectedness then, will there?
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
And thank you, Robin and Adele and Jim and Ashley, for joining us for our Therapeutic Touch. Do you think we covered everything, Stewart?
Yes.
And you're really going to be mean and not tell everybody about their surprises?
Yes.
I suck at keeping surprises. All right, so that is good night from the Art of Divination and from the lovely Cherry Whitiker.
And from Carrie and from Stewart.
Have a nice night, everyone.
Have a nice night.